You're gonna do this until you've kneaded it about 10 or 12 times. You don't wanna go too hard or don't wanna knead it too much, because otherwise you're gonna end up with a hockey puck, and that's not what we're going for. Hi, my name is Susan Reese and I'm with Manitoba Pork. On today's show, I'm going to show you how to make a very basic indigenous type of bread. You might have made it with your kids, maybe your grandkids, maybe you've even sampled at events like Festival de Voyageurs. So if you're guessing Bannock, you're right, except that our version, we're going to amp it up a little bit by adding some really nice crispy bacon and another one of my favorite ingredients, a sharp cheddar cheese. So we've got our bacon nice and crispy. We're using about 6 to 7 strips. The recipe actually calls for thick cut bacon. I'm just using regular bacon today, and we all know how bacon packages have gotten smaller over the years. So feel free to use more bacon if you happen to love bacon. You don't have to stick to the 6 or 7 strips, use 8 or 9, or just use the whole package. So once our bacon is fried, we're just gonna move it over to some paper towel, just so that we can drain off a little bit of that fat. And then we're gonna chop it up. And we're just gonna coarsely chop it. So I'll do that, just dab that a little bit more. Got that the consistency that you want, we're gonna start making our dough. The dough is pretty basic. Bannock ingredients, there's really just flour, some baking powder, usually a little bit of salt and sugar and some liquids. So for us today, we're gonna use 3 cups of flour. We're gonna add in our baking powder, a little bit of salt, and then we've got some liquids that we're gonna add as well. Usually I like to sort of distribute the dry ingredients first, just so that you don't have the baking powder all clumped up on one end of the bowl. And the baking powder is going to act as a little bit of a leavening agent, so it's going to lighten up that dough so it's not so dense. Then we're going to add in some water and some canola oil. And then here we go with our cheese. Now I like to use a nice strong old cheddar, but you can change it up if you like and add maybe something smoky, whatever kind of cheese you happen to like. And then we're also gonna add in our crispy bacon. Did you know Manitoba's hog sector is responsible for 55% of all agriculture and food manufacturing jobs in the province, providing employment opportunities for Manitobans and new Canadians alike. Manitoba is also the bacon capital of Canada, producing over 38 million kilograms of bacon annually. That's enough to fill almost 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So you can see that our dough is starting to come together. You want to keep just trying to grab the loose stuff from the bottom. All right. So once that's sort of come together a little bit, this is when you get to get your hands dirty. More flour so it doesn't stick. So kneading is a very important step in this recipe, just like any other kind of bread making. It's going to help form some strands of gluten, and that allows a little bit of gas bubbles, if you want to call them that. The dough is going to help hold some of the gas bubbles that the baking powder has created, and you get these little tiny air pockets in the dough, and then it's also going to give the bannock a bit of height. So for kneading, you're just going to push the dough away from you, fold it and push again. Give it a quarter turn, push again. And then if you lose a little bacon or cheese along the way, just stick it back in. And so now what we want to do is we want to form this into another ball again. And so bannocks can traditionally be, they can be round or they can be oval. We're gonna go for round today just because it's easier. So you just pound it into a nice ball. And then once we've got that, we're gonna flatten it into a disc. And so you're gonna keep kind of pushing it out until you get a nice round disc. And you want this to be about 3/4 to 1 inch thick. And if the dough starts to sort of fall apart and you're not getting that perfect circle, then just sort of squeeze it back together. And what I like to do is I use my two fingers on the end here, which is about 1 inch on my hand, and that gives me a good guide in terms of how thick the dough is. So once we've got that circle made, we're gonna put this in the oven at about 375 degrees Fahrenheit. It's gonna bake for about 25 minutes. If you do this on convection oven, which I actually like to do because it just gives the whole bannock a little bit more even browning, you're gonna turn your heat down to 350 and maybe reduce the time by about 2 or 3 minutes. So here we go. We're gonna put our bannock on our cookie sheet with some parchment paper. Give my hands a wipe. And then we're gonna put it in the oven. So put this one in. And we've got one here that's already done. That we're gonna take out. And there we go. Here is our bannock. Now, if you're trying to figure out how to serve this, you can do a couple of different things. This tastes really great, just warmed up with a little bit of sweet jam. The jam and the saltiness of the bacon and the cheese really balance each other out nicely, so it makes for a great snack. So if you like this recipe, you can actually find the recipe below. Enjoy, and this is our bacon and cheddar bannock.
If you decide to try this recipe at home, we would love to know what you think. We hope you leave this video feeling inspired to cook with local ingredients. Subscribe if you want to see more from us. Thank you so much for watching.